Hello students, I am Grishma Dalal. Today in pharmaceutical biotechnology, we are going to study about immobilization of enzymes. This is lecture 3. So let us begin. First of all with the basics. What do you mean by immobilization? So enzyme immobilization is defined as confining the enzyme molecules to a solid matrix or a solid support different from one another in which substrate or products are present. This is achieved by attaching enzymes to or within some suitable material. Now, you need to know one thing clear as to why you do immobilization. I repeat and I will explain the definition in deep. Enzyme immobilization is defined as confining. What do you mean by confining? Confining is nothing but you have to restrict the enzymes, right? So you can also use restrict, but enzyme immobilization is defined as restricting the enzyme molecules to a solid matrix or a support different from one another in which substrate or products are present. This is achieved by attaching enzymes. Why do we need? There will be many students who will be asking as to why we require immobilization. The reason for doing immobilization is so that you can have the enzyme activity in a better environment. The restricting is somewhat really essential when it comes, especially when it comes to pH and temperature, as we saw in our earlier lecture that because of temperature and pH difference, the enzyme are getting inactivated or denatured, right? So for that reason immobilization is really considered a good method, so that you can achieve a good enzyme activity, right? So, coming to the next point, the major advantages as to what are the advantages of enzyme immobilization. The first one is immobilized enzyme simplify the manipulation with the biocatalyst and the control of reaction process. Second, enhance the stability of the enzyme under both storage and operational condition. So now as you can see, I will take 2 points together. Immobilized enzymes simplify. You know, when you go through the method of immobilization of enzyme, they simplify the manipulation with the biocatalyst. Right, you have to make some changes in the biocatalyst and the control of the reaction so that you can control the reaction process. Now second one is enhancing the stability of the enzyme under both storage and operational conditions, right? So in turn you are also stabilizing the enzyme so that they remain stable at elevated temperature, elevated pH, etc. Third advantage is immobilization provide effortless separation of enzyme from the product, and hence the protein contamination of the product is minimized or avoided altogether. So immobilization, you can now understand a little bit that it provides an effortless separation. You don't have to it is not a type of a tedious method, right? It is effortless. You don't require any effort to separate the enzymes from the product, and hence you will get a pure protein, or you can call pure enzyme of the product, which is minimized and avoided altogether. Fourth advantage is enzyme immobilization remarkably reduces cost of enzyme and enzymatic products. Yes, of course. So this is one type of a method through which you can also get cost effective enzyme and enzymatic products. Fifth advantage is insolubilization of the enzyme by attached to a matrix imparts rapid arrest of the reaction by removal of the enzyme from the reaction solution. So insolubilization of the enzyme by attachment to a matrix is also another way. This in turn, it will impart a rapid arrest of the reaction by removal of enzyme from the reaction solution. So this is in the case when your enzyme is not working as expected, or there are some problems or some issues So in that case also immobilization can be helpful. Immobilization improves the stability of the enzyme against temperature, as I already discussed that we all know that enzymes or proteins are really unstable when it comes to temperature and pH especially, right? So immobilization will improve the stability. Immobilization helps for efficient recovery and reuse of the expensive enzymes. So you can also recycle whatever you call it. You can also reuse the enzymes again. Permits their application in continuous fixed bed operation. You can continuously, it can be a continuous, not a, except for the batch wise, right? You know very well what is batch and continuous, right? So you can operate this, you can apply the enzymes in a continuous manner. Immobilization increases the productivity of biocatalyst and enhances their features, making them the more attractive for diverse applications. So this is also product, if you think about the product, so immobilization also increases the productivity of the biocatalyst. You will get more and more good product, and also both in quality and quantity it will be really helpful, and you will get some attractive use of these applications. Now, of course, if there are advantages, there are some disadvantages. So we will go through disadvantage. High cost for isolation, purification, and recovery of active enzyme. So the first major disadvantage here is about that it is having a high cost for isolation, purification, and recovery. So isolation is also, you need a personnel who are experienced in isolation, in purification and recovery of the active enzyme. Second, if we see industrial applications are limited, only very few industries are using currently immobilized enzyme or immobilized whole cell. So this is also a disadvantage. This can affect highly, even though immobilized system or immobilization of enzyme are greatly applicable, but they have a great advantages, but still there is a limited used in industries. Catalytic properties of some enzymes are reduced or completely lost after their immobilization on the support or carrier. So now, as you can see, when we were not immobilizing the enzymes and we were using as a natural enzymes, right? In that case, if you remember, the properties were not lost, right? But in this, the disadvantages, if the catalytic properties of some enzymes will be reduced or completely lost if you go through immobilization methods. So this is also a type of disadvantage. Now if you connect it, there are chances that you cannot reuse it again. So this also again, as we can see in enzyme, in advantages we have already seen that you can reuse, but in some cases, if you use immobilization process, then you cannot reuse it again. So that is also a type of a disadvantage. Some enzymes become unstable after immobilization. Enzymes are inactivated by heat generated in the system. So you can see that immobilization can cause what can we say, instability in the enzymes, and also enzymes are sometimes inactivated by the heat generated in the system. So some methods they use heat, and because of that enzymes become unstable and inactivated, which can be a great loss to any personnel or the industry. Now, coming to the ideal properties of the support material that are used in immobilization of the enzymes. These material that are used for immobilization of enzymes are generally called as carrier or support matrices. So one by one we are going to see as to what ideal characteristics these can have. So first one is it should be of low cost, it should have eco-friendly nature, reducing the economic impact of the process. I repeat, before I go further, I want to again repeat that what is support material? right? See, we are doing enzyme immobilization, and these are some of the support materials which will be helpful in processing or in utilizing the methods of immobilization. So, what are carrier or support material? The material that are used for immobilization of enzymes are called carrier or support material. The characteristic of the metrics are of at most importance in determining the success and immobilizing of the enzyme. That is why we are going through ideal properties. It should be low cost, eco-friendly, right? Then it should be totally inert after immobilization and not block the desired reaction. You can understand this point now, right? That it should be totally inert, right? It should have thermal mechanical resistance, allowing the immobilized enzyme to be used under various operational conditions. It should be highly stable, of course, because enzymes are considered when, especially when it comes to temperature, elevated temperature and pH, they are considered highly unstable. So the support material that you are using, they should be highly stable. In the third point, it is mentioned that it should have a thermal and mechanical resistance, allowing the immobilized to use under various operational conditions. This is also connected to elevated temperature and pH. Fifth, it should be able to pack large amount of enzymes. So this is also one of the most important thing to study. Sixth, to prevent undesired protein adsorption. Mind well, it is adsorption, it is not absorption. So understand this thing, right? It is surface phenomena, right? As adsorption. To prevent undesired protein adsorption and denaturation, hydrophobicity of the support matrix surface should be minimum. Therefore, to increase the immobilized enzyme catalytic features, the support matrix should have required optimal environment. So you can understand this point really well, that to prevent undesired protein adsorption and denaturation of the support matrix, there should be the hydrophobic nature of the matrix system should be minimum as possible, so that adsorption and denaturation does not occur. The support should be able to shift in pH optimum for enzyme action to the desired value for the process. This is again important. It should be fluctuable, right? So that is the main ideal property. It should have antimicrobial and non-specific adsorption property. It should have antimicrobial and non-specific adsorption properties, right? So now this, what is this? This is about solid support materials that are used in immobilization. You can pause the video here and jot it down. You can write it down in important book where you can verify it again. You can see it again, right? These are some of the solid support materials. We will go one by one. We will see each category in deep. So solid support systems are divided, that are used for immobilization are divided into two major categories. One is inorganic and one is organic. Right. These are the types of solid support that are generally used. As you can see in inorganic, right, there are examples are given. These are some of the example of the materials that are used as a support system. In inorganic, if we talk, there is glass, silica gel, alumina, metal oxide, zirconia ceramics, etc. And also sometimes charcoal comes under inorganic category also. In If we go through organic, in organic there are two classifications again. First is natural organic and second is synthetic. Synthetic is something that you prepare in the lab and natural is available naturally, right? So organic natural examples are alginate, chitosan, it is collagen, right? So collagen, then next is gelatin, then next is starch. These all you must have heard the names. So these all come from the natural sources, right? In synthetic, if we see, it's silk, Polyvinyl chloride, PVC is also one of the example, and you can also add nylon also, and polyamide also, and polyacrylate also. So these are what some of the examples of synthetic. Now we will see one by one what are these supposed to mean. So first we are going to target inorganic support materials, that what and how they are useful. So if we see widely, these are widely used for immobilization as they have thermal and mechanical resistance, offer microbial resistance as inorganic support does not serve as substrate for bacterial and for fungal growth. So these inorganic provide microbial resistance, as inorganic supports don't serve as substrate for bacterial and fungal growth. So this is a plus point for using inorganic material, right? Why these are widely used because they have thermal and mechanical resistance. If you remember the ideal properties, in ideal property it was mentioned that the materials that you use should have good thermal and mechanical resistance. So these are one of those, right? These provide rigidity and porosity, right? This is your homework for today. That you I know you should understand what the meaning of rigidity and porosity is. So I am giving you homework for this. So you should understand what it is and how can it help as a support material for enzyme immobilization. They ensure invariance of pore diameter or pore volume, which ensures fixed volume and shape to support. So there, this ensures that there will be no changes in the pore diameter. Invariance is nothing but the changes. There will be no changes at all, wherever of pore diameter, pore volume, and which in turn will also ensure you that there will be fixed volume and shape to support. If you remember, there was enzyme substrate complex that was formed, and that this is the connected directly to that those theories, right? Now as you can see, this is the these are the examples of inorganic material. I will not speak every each and every category. You can pause the video and you can check all the properties and examples of enzyme immobilized. Some of the most famous are like zeolite, ceramic, cellite, silica, glass, activated carbon, and charcoal. So these are some of the examples of inorganic. Please don't mix inorganic materials with organic. Don't forget the examples. If possible, you can also memorize it in coding system, like I taught you in earlier lectures, that you can code that, right? So zeolite, ceramic, cellite, silica, glass, activated carbon, charcoal. There are also some example which you will remember by heart, right? So properties are some large specific surface area of zeolite substrate resulted in high enzyme loading. Some of the enzymes that were immobilized through zeolite were glucose oxidase, lysozyme, and coming to the ceramic, Candida antarctica, uh, lipase enzyme was immobilized using the ceramic as inorganic material via immobilization. As you can see, what properties, these are the what do they do to the enzyme? Both micro and macro pores efficient in lowering diffusion rate and increasing specific surface area. So this is a type of a mechanism of action, right? So cellulite, silica, glass, activated carbon, and charcoal. Please remember this. This is a really important table to memorize. These are the examples of inorganic material. Now coming next, organic support material. In organic support, there is natural and synthetic, right? So these two we are going to study. First of all, natural support. Natural supports are water insoluble polysaccharide. The characteristic, if you see, natural support, they are good support system, and it includes their ability to form inert gel. They can form inert gel due to their chemical structure, which can be activated easily. They can bind to proteins and enzymes in reversible and irreversible way. They are available in large quantity, they are inexpensive, and they show high thermal and mechanical resistance by cross-linking with bifunctional reagents. So as you can see, there are a lot of what can we say, there are, these are type of, these are also considered to be characteristic, and you can also call some of the advantages. But as you can see, it is a really good support system. And anyways, if you think, natural systems are always highly beneficial when it comes to the support. So their ability is really great when it comes to form inert gel, and so it can be, the enzyme immobilization can be activated really easily. So now these are again the examples for natural polymers. So you need to memorize this table, as again I'm not going to go into every category, but the major examples are alginate, chitosan, chitin, collagen, carrageenan, gelatin. Right, so there are all the names you have heard already, right? So but you, the main thing is which natural polymer has already enzyme immobilized. So the one is protease, pectinase, dehydantoinase, tannase, catalase, lipase, and alpha amylase. Again, there will be some enzymes which, whose name you might have already known or already heard in your previous semesters. And again, the properties are like what they will do to the enzyme. For example, alginate, it is generally used as xanthine alginate beads, alginate polyacrylamide gels, and calcium alginate beads can be reused. This improves the stability of the enzymes. So they target, alginate basically target the stability of the enzymes, and by use of alginate, protease and pectinase are successfully immobilized. Right? So what is this? This is nothing but synthetic supports. As you can see, synthetic supports are really essential. In synthetic support, you can see I have mentioned polyvinyl, but there are lot of other synthetic polymers which I already mentioned in the past. In synthetic polymer, polyvinyl chloride, this prevents thermal inactivation of the enzyme, and cyclodextrin has been successfully what can we say, immobilized. Cyclodextrin glucosyltransferase transferase. If you will refer many books, there will be a lot of examples. You can go through 3 to 4 example. UV activated polyethylene glycol is also one type of synthetic polymer, and because what it will provide, it will provide high porosity used in wastewater treatment, right? So there are a lot of synthetic polymers that are also important, so you need to go through all of them. So remember and memorize that the examples are really important to study about this. Now see, as you can see, ion exchange resins, which have porous surface and are insoluble in nature. So this is also one type of a synthetic support. Ion exchange resins which have porous surface and they are insoluble in nature. They can immobilize enzyme very strongly because of their porous structure. So as I said earlier, that your homework is to identify, to look into what do you mean by porosity and rigidity, because they are really important when it comes to enzyme immobilization. So now next is it's about different methods that you use for enzyme immobilization. In this lecture, I am going to cover only the first two, that is adsorption carrier binding method and covalent bonding. So make sure you definitely look the continuous lecture, that is lecture number 4 for the other three, right? So first we will go, please look, there are 5 types: adsorption, covalent bonding, entrapment method, copolymerization, and encapsulation. So we will see one by one. First is adsorption carrier binding method. Enzyme is adsorbed to external surface of the support. Adsorption of the enzymes onto insoluble support is very simple method of wide applicability and capable of high enzyme loading. Simply mixing the enzyme with suitable adsorbent under appropriate condition of pH and ionic strength. Before we go further, I need to go through deeply into this, but please listen carefully. In adsorption carrier binding method, your enzyme will be adsorbed to the external surface of the support. That is the adsorption. What do you mean by adsorption? It is the surface phenomena, right? So your enzyme will get adsorbed to the external surface. Then adsorption will onto the insoluble support is a very simple method of wide applicability, and you can use for high enzyme loading. Simply you have to mix the enzyme with a suitable adsorbent. This is mind well, this is adsorbent, not absorbent. Right? Under appropriate condition, you have to maintain the condition pH and ionic strength. Right? Now, there are different types of adsorption methods. It is not as simple as it sounds. But first method is static process. This is the most, what can we say, this is the most efficient technique but requires maximum time immobilization to carrier by allowing the solution containing enzyme to contact the carrier without stirring. In this technique, you will need to immobilize carrier by allowing solution that contain enzyme to have a contact with the support system. So this is static process. Second is dynamic batch. In this, carrier is placed in the enzyme solution and mixed by stirring or mechanical agitation. So in this dynamic, you will mix it using agitation, right? Third is reactor loading process. This process is employed for commercial production of immobilization. Carrier is placed first in the reactor and then enzyme solution is transferred to the reactor with continuous agitation. So here also you will do agitation, but a little bit different. First you have to transfer the carrier into the reactor and then enzyme solution will be transferred to the reactor and both will be mixed. And last but not the least is electrode position process. Here carrier will be placed in front of the electrode in an enzyme bath and then current is put on. Under the presence of electric field, the enzyme migrate to the carrier and deposited on its surface. So advantages here, you can memorize this, you can pause the video. What are the advantages of these adsorption method? No pore diffusion limitation, easy to carry out, no reagent required, minimum activation step, comparatively cheap method, less disruptive to enzymes and are usually resistant to proteolyte and aggregation, no reaction forces involved and hence no conformational changes in the immobilized enzyme. Very easy advantages. Just remember all the advantages. Disadvantages are desorption of enzymes from carrier. Desorption is again your homework for today. Desorption, what do you mean by desorption of enzyme from the carrier? Just define desorption. Second is it is less efficient. Third, physiological condition like high temperature or pH substrate addition may weaken the bond. The bonds can become weak. So now second we are going to see is about covalent bonding. In this method involves the formation of covalent bond between chemical group in the enzyme and to the chemical group on the support of the carrier. So it is, you can understand it is related chemically, right? So hydroxyl groups and amino group of support or enzyme form covalent bonds really easily. And also there are a lot of chemical groups that are that can help in immobilization like hydroxyl group, carboxyl group, thiol groups, methyl thiol group, etc. These can really helpful. These can be really help in covalent bonding. And some of the functional group of the enzyme also provide chemical group to form covalent bond like alpha carboxyl group at C terminal of the enzyme, alpha amino group, epsilon amino group of lysine and arginine in the enzyme, beta and gamma carboxyl group of aspartame and glutamate, phenol ring of tyrosine, thiol group of cysteine. You need to memorize some of the examples of covalent bonding. So again, what is covalent bonding method? This method involves formation of covalent bonds between the chemical group in the enzyme and to the chemical group on the support or carrier. So these are some of the examples of carrier or supports commonly used for covalent bonding: carbohydrates, synthetic agent, protein carriers, amino group bearing carriers, inorganic carriers, cyanogen bromide. Some of the names you might have already heard, like carbohydrate example cellulose, agarose, polyacrylamide, collagen gelatin, aminobenzyl cellulose, porous glass, silica, agarose, cyanogen bromide. Right, so these are some of the important carriers. Methods of covalent bonding. There are some of the methods through which you can go. Just like how we saw in adsorbent, there are also methods like diazotization, which is bonding between amino group of the support. This you must have studied in chemistry. Example: aminobenzyl cellulose, aminosilicyl porous glass, and amino derivatives or tyrosine or histidyl group of the enzyme. So this is what diazotization is referred to as bonding between the amino group of the support system. Right. Next is peptide. This peptide bond formation between amino or carboxylic group of support and amino or carboxylic group of enzyme. Right, so this is also again important. Then sometimes there is group activation, which I forgot to mention here. Group activation, use of cyanogen bromide to a support containing glycol group, that is cellulose, cephadic, saccharose, etc. The third one here is polyfunctional reagent, use of bifunctional or multifunctional reagent. This which forms covalent bond between amino group of the support and amino group of the enzyme. So you understand what this aims? These covalent bonding method targets chemical bonds and chemical functional groups, right? And by that they will perform the immobilization technique. So the advantages are strong linkage of enzyme to support, no leakage or disruption, comparatively simple method, variety of support with different functional group available, and wide applicability. So these are some of the advantages. You can easily link and understand by covalent bond. But also there are some of disadvantages like chemical modification of enzyme leading to loss of functional conformation of enzyme. Only small amount of enzyme may be immobilized. These are major two disadvantages of covalent bond method. Thank you so much. We will continue the other three methods in our next lecture. So make sure you watch that lecture. Okay. Thank you.